What's going on, guys? It's Aswell here, and welcome back to another renowned legendary weapons from Destiny. If you missed it last time, we hit up pulse rifles, and this time we are going to be doing scout rifles, which kind of fall in this weird category of good and not good. In Destiny 1, they were like really good to the point where I feel like there was no weapons that really stood out. I mean, there was probably like the best of scouts, but in my opinion, most of the scout rifles in D1 were like all really solid, so I can't really say I have a lot of like specific picks for that game. I mean, there are a few that were brought forward into Destiny 2 that we will talk about, but I feel like in Destiny 1 any scout rifle would have been good to use. I mean, I remember using the Chelchis a whole bunch. That one was really good. But yeah, so keep that in mind. Destiny 2, on the other hand, scout rifles started off really strong in the early days and then slowly fell off throughout the game's like runtime. They're okay nowadays, but they're nowhere near their glory days of Destiny 1. But yeah, let's just get into our honorable mentions real fast. Now, the first honorable mention we have to talk about is, of course, Night Watch. This was brought into the game back in Joker's Wild, and was a really solid scout rifle, actually. You could actually get a god roll of it by doing the introductory quest from Sean Ha. He would just give you a really solid roll. I think this one with subsistence and explosive payload was it, but I don't have mine anymore. I accidentally deleted it, so that sucks. The other one is the Oxygen SR4, which is actually a personal favorite of mine. I actually really liked using this thing back during Joker's Wild. I know it wasn't the best, but I had fun with it. The main perk on it was a Mega Neura, which actually worked in tandem with Dragonfly that also came with the original one. The way it worked is every stack of Mega Neura you got would increase the damage of Dragonfly, and if you threw on a Dragonfly spec, yeah, that's right, Dragonfly spec, it was actually not that bad. It wasn't great. Don't get me wrong, there was probably better weapons out there, but I mean, it was a lot of fun to use. So, yeah, I'm just going to throw it on here as my honorable mentions. The last weapon also I want to throw on here real fast is the Clever Dragon Pulse Rifle. Wait, this isn't a scout rifle. Yes, this was actually supposed to be on the previous videos list. I'm not going to lie. I completely forgot about it. So quick shout out to the Clever Dragon Pulse for not being on the Pulse Rifle list, even though it was supposed to be. First up is Treads Upon Stars. This was a strike-specific scout rifle you could get from a handful of Cabal strikes. I got mine from the Shadow Palace, which was very nice. This thing was a nifty little weapon. It was pretty solid overall. If you might notice, it is just the Vision of Confluence, just red. It's basically just Imago Loop in scout rifle form. It had some pretty good perks. I unfortunately didn't get too many of these, and the ones I did get weren't that good. This is like the only one I have left. But yeah, this thing was one of the very few scout rifles I could even think of from Destiny 1. Most of the scout rifles from Destiny 1 are pretty solid, so I feel like there's not a ton where I'm like, yes, people know this one. I mean, there's a couple standout ones, but like for the most part, like if I threw the Chelchis on this, y'all would be confused. What the frick is a Chelchis? Like, you gotta go to the gunsmith to get that. Either way, I loved using this weapon. It was a pretty solid one. I keep it on my Titan in D1. That's basically where it lives from now until forever. But yeah. So shout out to the Treads Upon Stars. Now, speaking of Vision of Confluence, that is the next weapon on our list. Unfortunately, I don't have one of these. I wish I could totally get my hands on one. But this was the scout rifle you could get from the Vault of Glass. It was a really solid weapon. I remember this being like one of the 3 main weapons that I remember people talking about in Destiny 1 when it came to the Vault of Glass. The other 2 being, Found Verdict, which is the shotgun, and obviously Fatebringer. This was like one of the big 3. I guess the sniper rifle, Praetor's Revenge, was also pretty good. Either way, this weapon is a absolute monster back in the day. I don't know how good it is now, since I obviously don't have one. If I had to take a guess, I'm assuming it's a pretty good weapon, although I don't think scout rifles are that popular in Destiny 2. Like, nowadays, people just use ability spam builds and guns with ability spam stuff, like Demolitionist and whatever. Honestly, I would say it's on, like, the Hall of Fame of like weapons just in general, just because it comes from like that OG raid and was a really good weapon back in Destiny 1. Next up is Nameless Midnight, the original Vanguard scout rifle from Destiny 2. This thing was so good when the game first came out. It was literally one of my favorite weapons back then. The scout rifles back then were like decent, but if they had explosive payload, like those were some of the best weapons you could get in the game. Explosive payload scout rifles, they were so good. This thing helped me get through my first ever Nightfall. Took me like 2 hours. I ended up with a score of like 0, but it was worth it because I was able to get that OG Solstice armor, and I just love this thing. I still have my original one. The one I'm using in this clip is literally my original one. Like this thing is older than some of my nieces and nephews. I've had this thing for so long. It holds a special place in my heart. Such a good weapon from the early days of Destiny 2, and I love it forever. I think there is random rolls of it. I don't know if you can get tier 5s. I haven't really done that much Vanguard grinding since the new update came out. Been focused on a lot of the other stuff and trying to complete the Triumph objectives or whatever. So I don't know if you can get this one currently. You can probably go check it out yourself. Either way, I love this weapon so much. It is a fan favorite of mine. Personal favorite. It's a favorite in general. We favorite this one. Up next is the hung Jury SR4. This was the scout rifle you can get from dead orbit during the Taken King. I believe the only way to get it in Destiny 1 now is if you're on Xbox and you revert the version of the game you're playing on to the older version. This weapon was like one of the very few scout rifles that I knew of in Destiny 1. I never got one in Destiny 1 because I was future Warco all the way. But anytime I see people playing like high-end content and they were using a scout rifle, it was generally the hung Jury. This thing was eventually brought into Destiny 2, and honestly has been a really solid weapon ever since then. I think it's been brought back like 4 or 5 times. They brought it back one season, and then they brought it back again the next season with different perks, and then they brought it back for, what was it, Into the Light, and then it's brought back again for this final update, and there might even be another version I don't know about. Either way, this weapon came with a ton of solid perks. It is just so good. It actually has like that Destiny 1 vibe that a lot of scout rifles just don't really have anymore in Destiny 2, which honestly just makes it so good. I just love this weapon so much. I actually need to go grind a newer version of this because the one I'm using in this clip right now is obviously my older version. But yeah, this weapon is so good. Such a great weapon. It's been around for such a long time. And it's just held in there. It's just held its spot amongst the best of the best scout rifles to ever exist for over a decade now. Well, I guess technically the Taken King came out in September of I don't know, it came out in 2015. So yeah, it has been around over a decade. So yeah, W hung Jury. Next up is the Doom of Chelchis. Chelchis? Yeah, the Chelchis. I don't own one of these. I think it is a pretty good weapon overall. It has a really nice design. I remember these being fairly popular in Destiny 1. Destiny 2, not so much, but that's how it is for a lot of scout rifles nowadays. It was a pretty solid weapon. That's all I really remember about it. If I had my own, I could probably give a more proper review. But, I mean, I had to throw it on here because I feel like this thing is at least renowned enough that, I mean, if I heard about it and I don't even own one, it's got to be on the list. But that's all I can really say about the Doom of Chelchis. I think it's a pretty good weapon. Next up is Patron of Lost Causes. This is actually a personal favorite weapon just in general of mine. I love this thing so much. This is my original one from Season of Dawn, and it was just such a good weapon. This thing, like, gave me the vibe of some of the OG explosive scout rifles from early Destiny 2. I love this weapon so much. I got a god roll of it with explosive payload and Vorpal with rapid hit, which back then, all those perks were just so good. I love this weapon so much. It is just such a special weapon in my heart. It's so cool looking too, since it's part of Saint 14's like arsenal. I love this thing so much. It is so cool. You can actually get it now. I believe you can get it from Banshee 44. I don't know how you can get tiered, or not tiered. I don't know how to get tier 5s because they're all tiered. I tried to get some tier 5s. I dumped like a buttload of engrams into Banshee trying to get a tier 5, but I just got a bunch of tier 4s, so I don't know if it's a random drop from Banshee or what. Either way, I love this weapon so much. It's so cool looking. It has such a nice sound when it shoots. Just listen to this. Yeah, that's a nice sound right there. But yeah, I love this gun so much. So shout out to the Patron of Lost Causes. Next up on the chopping block is No Feelings. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. No Feelings? Really? Like, we just got this scout rifle back after it's been gone for like 5 years. Why are you throwing this on the list? Because this was the very first scout rifle that could roll with box breathing, which made it oh so good in the Crucible. Like, box breathing on these scout rifles is so nice because it takes their 4-shot headshot TTK down to a 3 headshot. And that is just so good. You can basically outpace nearly anything in the game like that. It is such a nice thing to have on scout rifles. There's so many other scout rifles that can do it nowadays, but like, oh, I wanted one of these so much back in the day, just so I can get a roll with it that had box breathing. But obviously, I've never done a raid in my life, so I never got one of them. But yeah, once this thing came back, I had to grind for one that had box breathing, and I got one, and it's really nice, and I use it for Crucible all the time. So yeah, I know this weapon probably is not super renowned in general, but I love this weapon so much. It just holds a special place as far as scout rifles go, just for having box breathing, or at least being the original weapon to have box breathing on a scout rifle. So yeah, I love it. Next weapon. Up next is a personal favorite in general of mine, the Black Scorpion 4SR. I love this weapon so much. It was one of the original weapons that you could use back during the Destiny 2 beta, and oh, I love it. It's a Viced weapon. I love Viced weapons. They're so cool and look so awesome, and it's just so solid. These were also, for the longest time, the only rapid-fire scout rifles that existed in the game, which I thought were super fun to use, but I love this weapon so much. It was so solid in the Crucible. And even nowadays, I feel like rapid fires are just so underrated when it comes to PvP. I just love it so much. I remember when it got random rolls during the Taken King, during Forsaken. I remember grinding so long during Season of Dawn when you could just like get tons and tons of weapons with that community event. I don't even remember what the event was about anymore. It's been so long. I just remember getting so many of these every week until I finally got like my perfect roll, which I'm going to be using in this footage. But I love this weapon so much. This is literally like a top 2 favorite scout rifle of all time. I have my original one still from when the game first came out. I remember grinding for it, like once I was able to finally get legendaries, because you couldn't get legendaries until after you beat the campaign. That was such a fun time. But yeah, I love this thing so much. It'll forever hold a special place in my heart. Wish they had given it some, tiered roles. I don't think any Vice Scout rifles became tiered, like ever, which is unfortunate because they are super awesome. But yeah, I love this weapon so much. Next up, real fast, is Randy's throwing knife. I think this was like the very first non-viced rapid-fire scout rifle to ever get released in the game. This thing was kind of like in this weird zone of silly and actually kind of good, but also sometimes not kind of good. I don't know, like it was one of the not pinnacle weapons. It was a seasonal weapon, so it kind of fell in between. They're not bad, but their stats are kind of subpar. But I don't know why, it just kind of feels like it just belongs here. He's kind of like that silly guy on a team that you don't take seriously, but every once in a while he's like, haha, I'm actually super cool and good. But generally he's just really dumb. That's just the kind of vibe I get from Randy's throwing knife, Either way, I do think it belongs on this list, but I don't have a lot of like, yes, this is my choice of weapon. I'd rather go with like the Black Scorpion or something. But yeah, Randy's throwing knife is a pretty solid scout rifle overall. Now it's time to talk about my favorite scout rifle in the entirety of Destiny, the Manannan SR4. This thing was the GOAT in year 1 of Destiny 2. This thing was so good. I almost exclusively ran this thing in PvE. And if I was running it, I probably had Nameless Midnight, the GOAT, in my primary slot, running double. Double primary was how it was back in the day, so you throw on 2 scout rifles that both have explosive payload, and then you just sit across the map shooting the enemy. I loved this weapon so much. It was such a good gun. Honestly, using it in this gameplay made me remember just how good it was. I had so much fun using it. I honestly am so surprised they never brought it back. It was like one of the best weapons you could get in year 1. I remember people when Bungie was like, okay, we're going to bring back special weapons, but we're also going to take away the ability to change elements, which looking back now was such a weird thing for them to do. I feel like they could have easily kept that in the game, but that's unrelated. Either way, like, I remember people being like, hey, make sure you make at least one of every element of Manannan so you have them in your vault for the future. I remember people were doing that. Like, make sure you get a Void and an Arc Manannan on top of a Solar and Arc, because the regular one is Void. Like, people were doing that. That's how good this weapon was. This was one of the few weapons in the game. People were like, hey, make sure you get an elemental version of every element. Like, obviously it doesn't matter now. There's better weapons just because, stuff has more perks and whatnot. But even then, it's still such a good weapon. I honestly wish they had brought it back. It is so awesome. Will always be one of my favorite weapons just in Destiny 2. I love this weapon so much. And yeah, shout out to the Manannan. Anyways, guys, that's it for my Renowned Scout Rifles video. As always, these are a ton of fun to make. These are always my opinions, so if you're like, whoa, you put on that and you didn't put the cactus in the video, where's my cactus? Look, I like the cactus too, but like, generally I try to put on stuff that I feel like the general community was like, hey, those were the weapons we were using, or these were the weapons that were popular or whatever. This list would look very different if this was just like my personal favorite weapons. But yeah, this is just my opinion, so it's fine if there's like, I want this on the list, because at the end of the day, that's what makes this game so great. There's so many different weapons that everybody can just love. It's one of the reasons why I fell in love with this game, because I was stuck playing Halo and Call of Duty growing up, which are both great games. Well, they were great games. Now, not so much. But like, part of the reason why I fell in love with Destiny is because every weapon was so different and unique. Even if you got two of the same weapon, they'd have different perks and different sights. And that was something I'd never experienced in my entire life. There were so many little weapons that I just fell in love with. And it's part of the reason why I still love this game even now. Why there's weapons that it's like, this weapon isn't good, but it doesn't matter if it's not good, because it's still fun to use, you know? I mean, I use Traveler's Chosen still to this day. Is it Traveler's Chosen? I think so. The burst weapon, the bursty boy. I still use that thing to this day because it's just a good, fun little gun. You know, there's probably people who have never even heard of it, but like, that's just what I love about the game. So, yeah. Next episode, I believe, is going to be shotguns, so look forward to that next week, because shotguns they're like the complete opposite of scout rifles. Scout rifles are like very good neutral game and stuff in general. Shotguns are like in your face all the time. The best of the best is always just going to be right there, but yeah. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time, so peace.